They told you that knowledge is power. They lied. Knowledge in its raw, stagnant form is not power. It is a container. And for most of you, that container is currently clogged with rusted tools, outdated maps, and the fading echoes of people who never dared to go where you are now trying to reach. The greatest threat to your future is not the vast ocean of what you don't know. It is the rigid, unyielding certainty of what you think you know for sure that simply isn't so. If you truly want to reach the next level, you must be willing to strike a match and burn the very map that got you to where you are standing today. You have to submit yourself to the most agonizing, clinical, and necessary skill in the world, the art of unlearning. Jim Rohn famously taught us that we must all suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. But there is a third, more haunting pain that few have the stomach to talk about, the visceral pain of shedding your own identity. You cannot pour fresh, life-changing wisdom into a vessel that is already brimming with the sour milk of yesterday's excuses and the curdled beliefs of a version of yourself that no longer exists. Why are you still attempting to apply a 1990s survival mindset to solve the complex, high-velocity problems of 2026? Why do you cling to the ghost of safety when the world has already shifted its allegiance to speed and adaptability? In the cold reality of the marketplace and the mind, survival is not reserved for the strongest or the most intelligent. It belongs to the most flexible. To learn anything of true value, you must first possess the rare, unbreakable courage to admit that you were wrong. Consider the brutal legend of the eagle. This bird can live for 70 years, but to reach that milestone, it must face a harrowing crossroads at the age of 40. By then, its once sharp beak is bent and dull. Its talons have grown too long and flexible to strike prey, and its feathers have become so thick and heavy that flight is an exhausting labor. The eagle is left with two choices: succumb to the weight of its own history and die, or undergo a violent transformation. It retreats to a lonely mountain peak and begins a gruesome process. It knocks its beak against a jagged rock until the bone is ripped away, waiting in the silence for a new one to grow. Once the beak returns, the eagle uses it to pluck out its own talons. Then, it systematically tears out its own heavy feathers. It is forced to unlearn its own body, to strip itself of the very tools that once defined its greatness, just to survive. It chooses 5 months of isolated agony for 30 more years of power. Are you willing to pluck out the heavy habits and dull beliefs that are weighing you down, or would you rather stay grounded in the valley and wait for the end? Here is the secret the top 1% will never reveal in a casual interview. They don't just study to get smarter, they study to identify what they need to forget. They are the relentless auditors of their own minds, constantly scanning for software that is slowing down the system or distorting the signal. If a belief in your head isn't paying rent in the form of results, you must evict it without sentiment. This is the System Update 2.0, a total internal purge. In the next 30 days, I challenge you to take your most certain belief about money, about success, or about your own discipline, and treat it as a deliberate lie. Seek the counter evidence. Force yourself to see the cracks in your own foundation. Rebuild from absolute zero. This is not a suggestion or a simple lesson, it is a total system reset. The world belongs to the learners, but the learners are eventually owned by the unlearners, the ones who can pivot when the wind changes. Stop protecting your fragile ego and start protecting your infinite potential. Your current self is the bottleneck. The version of you that knows everything is the version of you that has stopped growing. This is Unbreakable Mentality. If you have the iron will to burn the old you to find the new you, if you are brave enough to start over and face the mountain peak, then type reset in the comments to signal your intent. I want to see who among you is willing to bleed for a better beak and sharper talons. Subscribe to this channel for daily mindset recalibration, discipline, and mental dominance. Like this video so it reaches the ones who are stuck defending outdated beliefs. Share it with someone who needs the courage to unlearn and begin again.